there, listeners. It's your annoyingly optimistic host here, bringing you another season of the Annoyingly Optimistic Show. Welcome to Season 2, Voicemails to Tim. Now, let's meet Tim. He's been running his own small business for almost 3 years now, and let's just say he's hit a bit of a rough patch. You know how it is. Sometimes you get so stuck, you make yourself busy and just avoid finding the real problems. Well, that's Tim. So as a good friend, I decided to leave him a daily voicemail, if I can't get hold of him, filled with nuggets of inspiration, insight and wisdom, and downright brilliant ideas to help get him unstuck. Every day, in just under 10 minutes, I'll share some tips, tricks, and a healthy dose of optimism to get Tim, and maybe even you, back on track. Because let's face it, we're all a little tired, in need of help, and muddling through. So here we go. Oh wait, never mind. Tim's being busy. Here's the voicemail I left him today. Hi Tim, missed you again. Thanks for your message you fired me about the drink more caffeine the other day. that was quite funny. It made me laugh. But anyway, another one for you today, another kind of idea, something to consider. And you know I love my books and I love talking about various kind of books. And this is kind of inspired by one, and I was talking about someone about this the other day, and I thought, must share that with Tim, there's a great book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I am not, as I do far too often, going to try and butcher the author's name because I've never been able to pronounce it, but look it up. It's a famous book. And I came to this one late. I'd heard lots of people kind of talking about it, and there's lots of kind of takeaways from that, and there's lots of similar themes which run across other books as well, so it kind of helped tie things together. But one of the key things is this idea of assets, and this is very relevant in where you are and in kind of self-employed, because we view a lot of the time that we only really have one asset, and that is us driving the business, creating the value in the business, creating the product and everything else. And there is an element that is 100% true. We are the asset, but that's why it's important to think of assets in different ways and think of actively creating them, because as we've spoken a lot about this difference between business and being self-employed. And again, part of this comes down to where you want to go with your business. But while we are the business and while the business is us, it's not really a business at all. It's a job. And why is it a job? Because if we go on holiday, the business stops. What an asset allows you to do without suddenly worrying about staff and pensions and expansion and all the rest of it. So it still keeps within that lane of self-employed, which is very different. But it's about creating things that can generate money that don't require your input. It's creating something once that you can sell over and over again, and theoretically can sell when you're not there to sell them. Now these are typically products online because they require less. These can be courses, these can be manuals, these can be anything whereby you put that time and effort in once to create the thing, and then it's there forever. It's there, it might need updating and tweaking and, as things kind of change, but it's something that you can potentially sell over and over again. Now, this can often be very difficult because the core product, and same with you, Tim, that you sell kind of is purely based on your time and what you create, and it's not about building up stock and things like that. So it can become very difficult, and this is where you often have to step back a little bit and look at, well, okay, who are my customers? What is it they want? What's the driver that makes them want to buy my product or service? What's the thing that's going through their mind? What's the conversation they're having when they decide to want to use my product? And if you get inside their head, and we've talked about this before, and I know we've got something booked in a few weeks time, we're going to be talking about this. But if you can really get inside their head and understand that, what you can then start to do is you separate the decisions, the emotion, the drivers that they're using from your product. And you kind of go, okay, well, this is what's actually driving the person. Because remember, once you identify that core driver, that core emotion, that core thing that's pushing them towards you, there will be lots of people that share that same drive and passion, but don't end up buying your product or service. They decide to do that elsewhere. And when you do that, that's where you can often see, well, okay, yeah, they might not want to come to me or do this particular thing because of this. So if I could offer something alongside of this that
that catered for a slightly different need, came from a different angle, and thinking of it not as a new product or service, but if this whole discussion makes you think of a new product or service, fantastic. But if you can think of something that you can then create, and again, typically this is great if it's potentially a low value. You know, one of the obstacles of people potentially not, shopping with you, not using you, could be product, could be time, could be price, could be availability, could be location. So if you can make something that takes as many of those off the table, that it's not location based, that it doesn't take a long time, that it doesn't cost them a lot of money, you're suddenly widening that audience, and you've got something that, rather than you might be servicing people that within 35 minutes to you, that are within earn a certain amount of money and things like that. Whereas all of a sudden you can now be creating something that might be nationally, might be internationally, that could be sold online, or even if it's a product, it could be something that could be mailed out and things like that. So it's really worth kind of putting some time and effort into this, not taking away from your main business, but exploring and understanding your customer better, which will always benefit your core product anyway. But how can you take that understanding of your customers and their needs and their wants and what you do for them, and take that idea and just take it a couple of steps either side of where you currently are, and potentially create something that then is creating that forever value. Because if you could say create a £20, £25, whatever it might be, product, that all of a sudden there might be costs of £7 or £8, but this is something that you could ship out if it's something physical, or have online if it wasn't, you're paying for kind of hosting and things like that. But all of a sudden you're making 15, 16 quid per product, but your catchment area is suddenly 70 million people, whatever your niche is within that. So all of a sudden you might be able to sell 1,000 of those a year with very minimal kind of spend, but that can certainly make a difference to your bottom line. And again, if you can come up with one of those, there is generally, and you get something that sells, there is generally the option to go, well, I can do a bigger version, I can do a bundle, and there's additional things that you can create around that. And all of a sudden, you've not created a side hustle, you've not created a second business, you've created an asset to what you do, which can give you the ability to then focus on your business, but also potentially make those changes in your business because you've got this other revenue that your business is generating. So it was just an idea. I've got a couple of things in mind that I think you could potentially look at, but I just wanted to put that out there and see what you thought this idea of creating assets. Obviously, go and read the book because it's a fantastic book and a great read. And there's a lot to take from it, but that was one thing that kind of grabbed me and I thought might be useful to you. So let me know, Tim, see what you think, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.
And that's it for today's episode of Voicemails to Tim on the Annoyingly Optimistic Show. Now remember, Tim might be busy, but we're all in this together. Whether you're tired, in need of help, or just muddling through, Tim is here for you because, well, Tim is you. Yes, you heard that right. Tim isn't just my friend, he's a reflection of all of us who are struggling to make it work. TIM stands for tired, in need of help, and muddling through. So if you're feeling like a Tim, you're not alone. For all those ambitious listeners, if you've got a burning business question, a quirky thought, or just want to see if you can leave an even weirder voicemail, head over to the website voicemailstotim.com, submit your question, and maybe, just maybe, you'll hear your idea in a future Voicemail to Tim. So until then, stay annoyingly optimistic, keep pushing forward, and remember, if life gives you lemons, leave a voicemail about it.